At the bank, my daughter's shocking attempt to take everything was revealed by a heartwarming note. Tom walked home from the diner, the crisp autumn air swirling vibrant leaves around his feet. He could feel the weight of 100 expectations pressing down on him. A widowed father, he was valiantly juggling 2 jobs. Masks of cheer plastered across his face while beneath it all, he worried constantly about the mounting debts. Memories of Sarah's mother felt like ghosts in the wind, reminders of a love lost but never truly gone. Each day was a struggle between pride and desperation, but he was determined to provide the best life he could for his daughters. He approached the local bank, a place where the community gathered to exchange gossip more than cash. His heart raced. Today was crucial. It was the day he'd present his loan application to the bank manager, hoping for a chance to relieve their financial burdens. The air felt thick with judgment as he stepped inside, enduring the stares of familiar faces as he made his way to the small, stuffy room. Tom's cheeks flushed with sweat as they shuffled papers, discussing his working-class status like it was some stain on his character. With a tremor in his voice, he began, "I know times are tough," but suddenly, the door burst open and there was Sarah, her face flushed with determination. Tom's heart dropped into his stomach as she stumbled into the room, clutching a worn, folded note. "Dad, I need to read this," she cried. Shocked and confused, he just nodded. In front of the bewildered bank staff, she unfolded the crinkled paper, revealing her fears scribbled years ago. "I'm scared, Dad. I don't want to be a burden like Mom." Each word shook with vulnerability, tears glistening in her eyes. Tom's heart clenched. He saw the swirl of feelings within her, the misunderstanding of their struggles, the shame that seeped into their conversations. The manager's eyebrows lifted, the shift from skepticism to empathy palpable. "Sarah, sweetie, we're doing our best," he said quietly, but the silence weighed heavily. Tom realized the truth. Here stood his daughter, unearthing emotions he had buried deep inside himself. They were both tired of pretending everything was fine. He could see that they had been tiptoeing around loss and grief, each trying to be strong for one another. Before Tom could find the right words, the room was thick with unspoken understandings. The murmurs from the bank staff hung in the air like palpable tension. With Sarah standing there, its intensity exposed gaps flanked by silence. They were 2 people fighting a battle together, yet somehow isolated in their struggles. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As he faced Sarah, he knew they were at a crossroads, their bond strained but filled with potential. The darkness of their financial woes threatened to swallow them, but the heartbreaking note represented a spark of connection, a chance to rewrite their understanding of family. What would he say to reassure her? Would they be able to embrace the truth of their situation and find a way forward together? The question hung thick in the air, an emotional revelation just waiting to break free. The silence in the bank felt suffocating. Tom glanced at the bank manager, who looked equally lost in the emotional shuffle. Tom's heart raced as he struggled to find words, anything to ease the palpable tension filling the room. He had always prided himself on being the rock for Sarah, but now it was as if their roles had reversed. "Sarah," he finally managed to say, his voice thick with emotion, "you could never be a burden. You are my light." The sincerity of his words and the weight of their shared struggles hung heavily between them. "But Dad," she interjected, her voice breaking, "I see how hard it is for you. I don't want to hold you back from a better life." Her eyes flickered with a mixture of fear and determination, and for a moment, it felt like they weren't just father and daughter, but 2 allies in the face of impending darkness. The bank manager cleared his throat, attempting to break the tension. "I think there's been a misunderstanding here. This note, it's powerful. It truly shows your connection and concerns for one another." He looked at Tom with a newfound respect. "What you have isn't something everyone understands. Families experience hardships, and it looks like you 2 are up against it." That glimmer of understanding from the manager sparked something inside Tom. Perhaps this was the moment he needed an opening. "I came here for a loan, yes," he said, taking a deep breath. "But I also came to show Sarah she is not alone in this. We're a team. It might take time, but we can rebuild together. This isn't just my fight. It's ours. Sarah's expression shifted, surprise blooming into a tentative smile, and it felt like a warm sunbeam cutting through the chill of autumn. Tom squeezed her hand, the simple gesture radiating warmth and reassurance. I can help you here, Tom, the manager nodded slowly. Maybe we should explore a different option. Perhaps a low-interest loan with flexible payments. It would give you room to breathe while you work through your finances. Tom's breath hitched. Hope flickered brighter in his chest. He felt a rush of gratitude toward the manager, who seemed to understand their plight on a personal level. Perhaps the universe was nudging them towards grace after all. Sarah looked up at him, her eyes shining with a mix of hope and admiration. Do you think we can do this? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Yes, Tom replied firmly, feeling the warmth of her faith in him solidify their bond. We can. Together. The rest of the meeting faded into a blur as they discussed numbers and agreements, but what mattered most was the newfound strength between them. As they left the bank, the cool breeze danced around them, vibrant leaves swirling at their feet, but this time it felt different. Walking home, Sarah suddenly stopped and turned to him. Dad, can I keep that note? I want to remember this moment. I think it's important. Tom nodded, heart swelling. As he watched her fold the note carefully, a question nagged at him. What other pieces of their past had they buried that still needed to surface? As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, he realized that while they had taken a step forward, there was still much to uncover. What else lay hidden in the depths of their shared grief? And would the next revelation strengthen or threaten to tear them apart again? The walk home felt surreal. Tom could still feel the cool breeze swirling around them, but it now carried a promise of change. Sarah's excitement bubbled beside him, her smile lighting up the path ahead. She hummed softly, wrapping her arms around herself as if she were trying to hold on to this moment forever. Dad, she suddenly said, breaking the rhythm of her melody. Do you ever wish things were different? For us? Her eyes drifted to the ground, the cheerful expression faltering just a bit. Tom stopped and looked at her. Different how? He asked gently. She hesitated, her gaze lost in the colors of the fallen leaves. I guess like when things were easier. Before everything. Her voice trembled, and the innocence of childhood dimmed for just a second. Tom knelt beside her, trying to grasp the weight of her words. He remembered days of laughter and freedom, before the crushing responsibilities made them feel like they were sinking. Feeling like this just means you're human. It's okay to wish for those simpler times. Sarah nodded, a hint of relief in her expression, but he could see the question still lingered there: how they navigate this new terrain together. As they resumed walking, he felt a determination rising within him. But I want you to know, every challenge we face brings us closer. We're building a future. One step at a time. She looked at him, uncertainty dancing in her eyes. Do you really believe that? I do, he said firmly. We're stronger together, remember? She smiled again, the warmth returning as they continued to walk. When they reached their home, the lights were already dimmed, casting shadows in familiar places. The day's events felt heavy on his heart, yet there was a new spark of hope igniting his spirit. He opened the door, letting Sarah go in first while he glanced up at the sky, where stars began to twinkle. Hey Dad! Sarah shouted. Can we do something special? To celebrate the good changes? He stepped inside, reminiscing on the countless ordinary meals shared at the dinner table. Sure thing. What do you have in mind? Let us make cookies, she suggested, her excitement bubbling over. Tom chuckled at her sudden enthusiasm. Cookies it is. What flavor? Chocolate chip. She chimed back, already heading to the kitchen. As they gathered ingredients, laughter echoed through their modest home. Tom measured flour and Sarah stirred, her giggles filling the air. Yet amidst the sweetness of chocolate and warmth of baking, he felt the weight of an unresolved question looming. Dad? She said suddenly, her voice sounding more serious. Do you think that note is really going to help us? Like when things get tough again? Tom paused mid-action, his heart catching in his throat. It can help remind us of this moment, of our promise. But we still have to create a future we want to see. Her eyes deepened with understanding. And if it gets hard, then we lean on each other. We'll tackle it together. Promise? she asked, holding out her pinky. Promise, he said, locking their fingers together. The smell of cookies filled the air. Yet in that moment, he sensed an undercurrent of fear rattling within him. What would the next challenge look like? The warm glow of their freshly baked cookies was inviting, but the structure of their new lives kept flickering in and out of focus. Their laughter mingled with uncertainty, and Tom's gut twisted at what they might learn in the days to come. Would they be ready for the hard truths waiting just around the corner? As they pulled the cookies out of the oven, a sudden knock echoed from the front door. Both froze. Tom exchanged glances with Sarah, an unspoken fear gripping them. Who could it be at this hour? Could this unexpected visitor be the tipping point they never saw coming? Tom's heart raced as the knocking persisted, 3 firm raps that broke the whimsical thread of their cookie making. He shot a glance at Sarah, whose wide eyes mirrored his own shock. "Stay here," he whispered, an instinctive protectiveness swelling within him. He crossed the room slowly, each step heavy with uncertainty. The kitchen light flickered, casting an unsteady glow on the door. He hesitated, hand hovering over the doorknob, listening intently. "Who is it?" he called, trying to steady his voice. No answer. Just the quiet rustling of the leaves outside and a soft echo of the city settling into night. Tom opened the door a crack and peered through the opening. Suddenly, light flooded in, revealing a familiar face, Mr. Peterson, their neighbor, standing there with an anxious expression. It seemed he had come to deliver news. "Tom, sorry to bother you this late," he said, his voice low and urgent. "Can I talk to you for a moment?" Tom's instincts kicked in. Sensing the gravity of the situation, he stepped outside and gently closed the door behind him, leaving Sarah in the warmth of the kitchen. "What is it?" he asked. "It's about the bank. There's something you need to know." Mr. Peterson's eyes darted around, as if he feared being overheard. Tom felt a knot forming in his stomach. "What happened?" "There's been an issue. It seems there are some discrepancies with your accounts. Unaccounted withdrawals, and there's also a matter involving Sarah." A chill washed over Tom. "My daughter? What do you mean?" He was saying she had submitted a request to take funds out of an account in her name. Mr. Peterson exclaimed, concern etched on his face. "That's why I came here. It's likely a mistake, but you need to ensure she didn't authorize anything." A wave of panic crashed over Tom. "Sarah?" he whispered in disbelief. Could she really be involved in something so serious? As they spoke, he caught a glimpse of Sarah through the window, her small figure reflected against the kitchen lights, still blissfully unaware of the storm brewing outside. "Tom, you need to talk to her now," Mr. Peterson urged, his voice low and firm. With dread weighing on him, he nodded. "Thanks for letting me know I need to." Before he could finish, the door swung open and Sarah peered out, flour dusting her cheeks and a cookie still in hand. "Dad? Who's here?" Tom's gaze fell to the cookie she held, the light-heartedness of their evening now tainted by the seriousness of their newfound reality. "Sarah, we need to talk," he said, stepping inside and feeling the warmth of the room collapse away from him. "What's wrong?" Her eyes flickered with concern as she noticed Mr. Peterson's tense expression. With a lump in his throat, Tom knelt before her. "It's about the bank. Are you sure you didn't do anything with your account? Like, didn't he ask to take any money out?" She blinked, her face tightening in confusion. "No, I didn't ask for anything." "Are you sure? Because something came up. I would never do that, Dad," she insisted, her small voice edging on panic. "I don't understand what's happening. Mom wouldn't let me. I wouldn't even know how." Just then, the calm atmosphere shattered as her innocent bubble collided with the harsh reality of uncertainty. "Tom," Mr. Peterson prompted, breaking the silence. "We need to figure this out before it spirals, before it's too late." Tom felt the ground shift beneath him. In their attempt to build a future, was it all unraveling before them? As the weight of their new normal threatened to crush them, he wondered what choices lay ahead. The echoes of laughter from earlier felt like whispers of a world just beyond their reach. "Everything will be okay, sweetie," he said softly, but doubt gnawed at him. "We'll sort this out together." But even as he spoke these words, the reality sank in. Could they really? With that thought lodged in his mind, Tom realized this might just be the start of something far more complicated than he had ever imagined. Tom felt the weight of his daughter's confusion and fear. As he stood in the kitchen, the sweet scent of cookies had turned stale, burdened by impending trouble. He glanced at Sarah, her small hands trembling slightly as she wiped flour from her cheek, her innocence hanging in the air like a fragile thread. "Okay, let us just calm down for a minute," he said, his voice trying to steady the rising storm. "How about we sit down and talk this through?" Sarah nodded, her eyes still wide, searching for reassurance in his face. He led her and Mr. Peterson to the dining table, the usually comforting space now feeling like an interrogation room. "Mr. Peterson, what exactly are we dealing with?" Tom asked, feeling the urgency hanging heavily in the air. "There are thousands of dollars missing, Tom," Mr. Peterson replied quietly, his brow furrowing deeper. "It looks like there were withdrawals made without authorization. And it concerns Sarah's account." As he looked at Sarah, Tom couldn't shake the feeling of dread. She was only a child, one he had worked so hard to shield from the world's complications. "What can we do?" he pressed, his voice shaky. "I suggest contacting the bank first thing in the morning. They might have records, something that can clear this up. But you also need to find out who else has access to her account," Mr. Peterson advised, his voice softening. "I hate to say this, but you should consider the possibility of someone using her information." Fear coursed through Tom, a cold realization settling in. Someone might be targeting her. But why? What could they gain? "Maybe they think she has more money than she really does," Mr. Peterson suggested, leaning forward. "Kids often leave digital footprints without even realizing it. It's easy for them to get into trouble." As uncertainty wrapped around Tom like a thick fog, he squeezed Sarah's hand gently. "We'll figure this out together," he promised her, but inside, doubt whispered a different story. Sarah's gaze focused on Tom, something shifting in her expression as the moments ticked on. "Dad, what if I didn't do anything wrong?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if someone really is trying to hurt me?" A wave of protectiveness surged within him. "No one's going to hurt you. Not if I can help it." He searched her face for belief, for a sign that they could get through this. After a long silence, Tom stood, needing to act to regain some control. "Let me see your account details. If there's anything odd, we can catch it before it spirals." With Sarah reluctant but knowing the importance of the moment, she retrieved her tablet from the living room. He watched her fingers dance across the screen, her small shoulders tense. Each tap felt like a countdown, leading them deeper into what lay ahead. As the numbers flickered in front of him, Tom's heartbeat rose. His eyes darted to Sarah's anxious face, filled with helplessness he wanted to shield her from. After a few moments of searching, Sarah gasped. "There's a message here, Dad. You'll regret this." A chill ran down his spine. "What do you mean?" "Let me see." The implications of those words washed over him like icy water. "Here," she said, her voice trembling. "Right here in the comments. It looks like someone has been watching me." Tom's pulse quickened as questions flooded his mind. Who would target Sarah? What did they want? Each revelation felt like a piece coming together, yet it only formed a darker picture. He needed to protect his daughter, but how? "Mr. Peterson, we may need to go to the police," Tom began, the urgency pressing down on him before he could finish his thought. The power flickered, plunging the room into darkness for a split second before the lights resumed, but Tom felt the atmosphere shift. It wasn't just the darkness or the uncertainty. Something more sinister lurked just beyond the doors of their house. "We can't stay in this uncertainty," he declared, feeling the need to act, to push against the terror now creeping into their lives. Suddenly, the front door creaked open, and an unfamiliar silhouette appeared at the threshold. "Someone's here," Sarah murmured, eyes wide with fear. Tom stepped protectively in front of her, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Who are you?" Tom shouted, aware that the very normalcy of their kitchen had been shattered. And as the shadow stepped forward, his heart raced with the fear of knowing that this moment would change everything. The figure hesitated in the doorway, silhouetted against the dim light behind them. Tom's heart pounded against his ribcage, every instinct screaming for him to protect Sarah. He scanned the stranger, searching for any sign of threat. "What do you want?" he demanded again, his voice steadier than he felt. The silhouette slowly stepped into the light, revealing a woman in a worn coat, her eyes filled with an exhaustion that felt almost palpable. "I'm sorry to barge in like this," she started, her voice shaky but sincere. "I need to talk to you both." Tom glanced back at Sarah, who clung to his arm, her face a mix of fear and curiosity. "Who are you?" he pressed, refusing to lower his guard. "My name is Emily," she said, pushing a strand of hair behind her ear as if trying to compose herself. "I know about the situation with the bank." She hesitated, guilt shadowing her features. "I think I can help." "Help?" Tom retorted, skepticism creeping into his tone. "How do you know anything about this?" "I'm friends with one of the bank tellers," Emily explained, her eyes darting nervously around the room. "I overheard some conversations. There's something bigger happening here, something that involves Sarah." Tom felt a surge of protectiveness that bordered on rage. "You think this is a joke? My daughter is in danger." "No. Please, you have to listen." Emily stepped closer, urgency flooding her voice. "There's someone who has been using kids' accounts to launder money. Sarah's information might have been compromised. I didn't know it was her until I saw her name just now." Tom's breath caught in his throat. "What do you mean? How can we stop it?" "I don't know everything," Emily rushed to say, "but I know the next transaction they'll try. You have to get to the bank before it happens. If they succeed, you may never trace the money back." "Why would you help us?" Sarah's voice trembled from behind him, her small frame trembling as she peered at Emily. "I have seen the impact on kids like you," Emily replied, her eyes softening. "I don't want another child to suffer." Panic began to rise in Tom's chest. They didn't have much time. "What do we do?" "Get your daughter and go now," Emily urged, moving toward the door. "I'll drive you. It's not safe for you to go alone, and they might be watching." Tom hesitated, looking at Sarah, whose eyes were wide with a mix of worry and fear. This was a leap into the unknown, but it was a leap they had to take. "Okay," he finally said, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. "Let us go." In the frenzy, Sarah grabbed her tablet, clutching it like a lifeline as she followed Tom and Emily out into the fading light. The world outside felt eerily quiet, the shadows growing longer, the atmosphere heavy with tension as they climbed into Emily's car. Tom's mind raced, tossing around possibilities and fears. What sort of people were behind this? And how could he keep Sarah safe? The engine roared to life, the brakes of time ticking down like a countdown. "Just make sure to keep an eye on each other," Emily advised, glancing nervously into the rearview mirror. "They might try to put pressure on you again," she warned. "Stay close." As they sped toward the bank, adrenaline coursing through him, Tom felt faint threads of hope weaving into his fear. But just as quickly doubt crept in. Could they trust this stranger? And then, as if sensing his inner turmoil, Sarah spoke up. "Dad, if they really are watching me, what if they try to take me?" His heart sank at the thought, the gravity of the situation settling in. "They won't. Promise you that. But we need to be smart and careful." He reached back, squeezing her hand as tightly as he could without causing her pain. The headlights of the bank came into view, illuminating the darkness ahead. But as they approached, panic surged within him. Unexpectedly, dark figures were lingering out front, obstructing their path. "Tom, be ready," Emily said, her voice filled with urgency as she pulled the car to a halt. Suddenly, the weight of the moment intensified, pressing against him like a vice. "Get ready, and whatever you do, Don. Look away," he whispered to Sarah, feeling a sense of determination rise within him. But as the figures began to move toward them, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into something far beyond what he was prepared for. What awaited them at the bank? Tom's heart thudded in his chest as he fixed his gaze on the figures. They were too many, too close. Each silhouette seemed to pulse with danger. He squeezed Sarah's hand, searching her face. Fear flickered in her eyes, and he took a deep breath to steady his own racing thoughts. "Just stay behind me," he instructed firmly. Emily glanced at the dashboard clock. "We don't have much time. We need to act fast." Her voice trembled slightly, betraying the fragile confidence she tried to project. The dark figures moved closer, their faces coming into view. Tom recognized the snarl on one of them, a man he'd seen before in the bank, whispering with the teller at the counter. The realization hit him like a cold wave. They were not just strangers. They were the threat they had come to face. "What do we do?" Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible, but filled with a mix of fear and defiance. "Stay calm," he said, though his heart felt anything but. Suddenly, one of the men stepped forward, his voice gravelly and low. You shouldn't have come here. This is none of your business. Emily's hands tightened on the steering wheel, knuckles white. We know what you're doing. We won't let you hurt her. Tom risked a glance at Emily, fear now mingling with anger. You have to move us out of here. Now. But before Emily could respond, Sarah spoke up. Dad, wait. Tom turned, surprised by her urgency. What are you talking about? We need to get out of here. In her small hands, Sarah clutched her tablet tightly. No, I think I can help. Help? How? Tom's voice dipped into disbelief. Remember what I told you about the app? I can help track their movements if they aren't aware I'm using it, she said, her voice trembling but steady. Tom felt a rush of fear mix with an odd sense of pride. This is dangerous, sweetheart. I can't let you put yourself in harm's way. But Dad, this is our chance. They don't know I have the app. If we use it, we can find out where their money is going. We might be able to gather evidence. The urgency around them intensified as the man moved closer. You're wasting time, he growled. Tom felt trapped between his instincts and his daughter's bravery. Emily, can you keep the car running? If we need to bail, we need to do it fast. Of course, she replied, eyes darting between the figures and Tom's expression. Just tell me what to do. With a quick nod to Sarah, Tom took a breath, grounding himself in the moment. Okay, let us do it. We'll use your app. But you stay close to me the entire time. He felt Sarah exhale beside him, relief washing over her features as she opened the app. The little screen glowed in the dim light, and she began tapping away, crafting a plan that only she could understand. The men sneered, shoving forward with impatient menace. Enough games. As the first man lunged, Tom reacted instinctively, stepping between Sarah and the advancing figure. Get away from her. In that heartbeat, time stretched thin. Tom's instincts were sharp, yet uncertainty gnawed at him. Just as the chaos erupted, Sarah's voice rang clear. I've got it. Look. With a touch, a pinpoint of light flashed on the map, revealing a connection and account linked to those men. One they used to funnel money. It wasn't just a tracking app, it was a lifeline. Now we can file a report, she exclaimed, her fear transformed into fierce determination. As if that will make a difference. The man spat, lunging again. No, Tom shouted, pulling Sarah behind him, ready to protect her at all costs. Emily, sensing the escalation, hit the gas. We need to go now. She slammed the car into gear, revving as the dark figures closed in. Tom took one last glance at the men. His heart still pounding. This was far from over. They were in the game now, a game threatening to consume everything they held dear. But there was a glimmer of hope in Sarah's voice, a spark of courage in her small body as they escaped the immediate danger. Tom's mind raced ahead to the tangled web of deceit they'd just begun to unravel. What would they do now with the truth Sarah discovered? Would it be enough to protect her when the danger escalated? The road ahead felt uncertain. But one thing was for sure, this was only the beginning. Tom gripped the handle of the car door, knuckles white and heart racing. Emily maneuvered through the winding roads, the engine roaring like a beast escaping a cage. The adrenaline pulsed through his veins, a stark contrast to the looming dread that coiled in his stomach. Did you see their faces? He muttered. Did you recognize any of them? Sarah remained quiet, focused on her tablet as she replayed the map on the screen, the bright dots of data sparkling like starlight. I think I can trace where they went. There might be more connections. More? Tom's voice strained with concern. You mean they have more places? More operations? Maybe, she said, glancing up briefly, eyes wide. But it means we have to move fast. If they see us, if they realize we're onto them. Emily cut into the conversation, clenched jaw tight. We'll report it once we're safe, right? Tom nodded reluctantly, still tangled in the thought that reporting wasn't enough. We need to gather evidence first, then make sure we're safe. They may come for us again. The fear flickered in Sarah's eyes again. But Dad, if I send a signal now, I can alert the authorities. It's connected to the app. Are you sure? I mean, what if they trace it back? What if I want to use it if we don't have to? Promise. She spoke with determination, a spark in her innocence that gave him strength. Suddenly, Emily paused at a red light, its glow illuminating their anxious faces. We can't stay on the road too long. We have to find somewhere safe, a place to regroup. Tom peered out the window. They were in an empty stretch of road, surrounded by darkened trees that loomed like watchful sentinels. As the light turned green, Emily accelerated, weaving between lanes. There's a cafe a few blocks away. We could hide there, and I can keep the engine running while you two could investigate. Sarah tapped away furiously on her tablet, the glow illuminating her small features. I'm almost done running the trace. Just need a few more seconds. Tom's heart sank as the shadows of the dark figures from earlier flashed in his mind. What if they find us? I won't let that happen, Emily replied, glancing back at him with fierce resolve. We're in this together, right? Tom felt warmth spread through his chest. They were a team, united against the threats lurking in the dark. Together. Just then Sarah cheered softly. I found it. Look. She turned the tablet toward Tom. The map flickering with colored dots connecting the dots across the city. That's where the money goes. We can't waste time. We have to act. The urgency in her voice ignited something primal in him. Okay. First the cafe, and then we figure out how to gather evidence. Trust me, we'll show them we're not afraid. But before Emily could make the next turn, a truck sped by them, red lights flashing ominously in the night. Did you see that? Tom pointed, panic swelling. They're watching us. Stay calm, Emily urged, but her voice quivered as she gripped the wheel tighter. Tom's mind raced. How did they know? They had to act decisively. We can't lead them to the cafe. Could be a trap. Emily glanced at the rearview mirror. There's only one way to lose them, she said, instincts kicking in. Sarah, wide-eyed and clutching her tablet, whispered, What do we do? Hang on, everyone. Emily shouted, veering off the main road. The car jolted, sharp turns sending a shock through the three of them. Tom felt a surge of hope, mixed with the adrenaline coursing through him. Remember the plan, Sarah, he shouted, heart racing. We need to be ready to fight back. In that moment, the car transformed from a simple vehicle into a fortress against the monstrous shadow they faced. If they managed to turn the tide, it would change everything. And as the darkness chased them down, Tom's heart ignited with a fierce determination. Would the truth they uncovered be enough? Could they fight against the impending threat looming ever closer? Everything hinged on their next move. Emily swerved sharply down a narrow alley, her focus locked on the road ahead, heart pounding in tune with the engine's roar. The world outside blurred into a stream of colors. Each corner they turned amplifying the breathless urgency that enveloped them. This is our chance. Stay low and don't make any sudden movements, she instructed, glancing in the rearview mirror. Dread pooling in her stomach, Sarah nodded, fingers hovering over the tablet. I think I can track our pursuers, she said quickly, her voice a mix of fear and determination. If they don't know where we're heading, could give us some time. Tom leaned closer, feeling the heat radiate off the dashboard. I need to know if we can lose them. If they check those dots, if they connect us to the next step, we might lose everything. There's a parking structure a few blocks away, Emily said. We can hide out there until things calm down. Sounds good. Sarah, can you keep an eye on the map? Tom urged, squeezing the back of her seat as the adrenaline loomed over him. Just give me a second. Sarah's voice was a sharp whisper, determination edging out her fear. She was breathless, her eyes wide, lit by the glow of the screen. She was their lifeline now, a young girl caught in an adult battle. They came to an abrupt stop in front of the parking garage, and Emily quickly looked around, lungs burning from the strain of the moment. We need to be quick, she said, her resolve unwavering. Everyone, keep your heads down. We're not making a sound. Tom flung open his door, his heart hammering as he glanced back at the road. No sign of the truck yet. They hurried under the dim light of the garage, keeping to the shadows while Emily led the way. The thick concrete pillars provided a semblance of shelter. Look, Sarah whispered, pointing her tablet toward the screen again. These are linked to other operations. We can use this to track them. Tom stared at the flickering dots. A part of him was still processing how deep they were drawn into this. But at what cost? What if they're stronger than we thought? The words felt like stones rolling off his tongue. We have to think of something before they find us. We can't keep running forever, Emily exclaimed, the frustration evident in her voice, but it was laced with something else too, fear for what might come next. I get that, he replied, suddenly flooded with the reality of their situation. The darkness felt heavy around them, but the resolve pulsed through him. But it's not just about us anymore. It's about stopping them. Sarah's face tightened with focus. I can send a signal if we're ready, if we're sure. Tom met her eyes. The fear dropped from her voice, replaced by courage that touched his heart. Whatever you need to do, Sarah. Just know we're all in this together. You don't have to fear. We'll protect each other, he softly reassured her. Though uncertainty gnawed at him that moment, the distant sound of engines roared through the structure, sharpening his senses. Emily's grip on the steering wheel had never felt more like an anchor. They were so close yet so far from safety. Quick! We'll take the stairs up, Emily said, and with that, they moved in a hurried whisper, the flickering light above casting long shadows behind them. The sound of tires screeching echoed closer. Tom felt his heart sink, a battle brewing in his chest. He turned back to look at Sarah, the digital map lighting her face with a promise of hope mixed with defiance. Just then, rapidly approaching footsteps echoed through the stairwell. Now or never, he thought, his gaze darting towards the stairs. Would they confront their fears head-on, or would they continue to be chased by the demons of their circumstances? The next moment could turn everything upside down. As the trio hurried up the stairs, the distant rumble of engines faded, leaving only the thumping of their hearts in the quiet stairwell. Tom took the lead, Sarah's small hand gripped tightly in his. Emily brought up the rear, her brow knit in concentration as they pressed on. Dad, I don't know how much more time we have, Sarah whispered, her voice trembling just slightly. One of them could be right behind us. Tom pushed aside his own fear for her sake. We'll keep moving until we find a safe spot. Remember, we're a team. Each step felt heavier, as if the weight of their fear pressed down on their shoulders, but their resolve wavered not a bit. They reached the third floor, panting, and stepped into a small empty office space. Darkened windows prevented them from seeing outside, but it was their refuge for now. Tom locked the door and grabbed a chair, jamming it under the handle, just to feel a little more secure. Okay, Sarah, what have you got for us? He said, forcing a steadiness into his voice. Sarah sat at the worn desk, her fingers flying over the tablet screen. I can send an alert to the authorities now, but we need to make sure they can get to us quickly. If they trace my signal back, if they find out we're here, she hesitated, the enormity of it all weighing on her small frame. No, Tom said firmly, kneeling beside her. You can't operate out of fear. It's time to take control. He could see the determination in her eyes, the spark that reminded him she wasn't just a child, but incredibly brave. Emily leaned closer, reading the screen. If we guide them using the app, they can intercept the signal and catch whoever is responsible. The anger in her voice was palpable. We need to move fast before they regroup and come looking for us again. Together they formulated a plan, crafting messages to go out through Sarah's app, blurring the lines between safety and desperation. Tom felt pride swell in his heart as he watched Sarah, her focused face illuminated by the screen. Okay, she nodded, finally finding her courage. This is what we'll do. The plan came together, a complex web of messages sent to local officials, digitally alerting them of their current location and the threat looming just outside. A countdown ticked in Tom's chest, each second pushing them closer to a confrontation they weren't sure they were ready for. As Sarah hit send, a sudden blast of noise erupted outside, followed by loud voices. They're here, Emily shouted, her voice laced with urgency. Tom took a deep breath. We need to hide, he said. Now. He ushered them to the far corner of the office, positioning them behind a cabinet just as the door creaked open. The figures of two men stepped into the room, imposing shadows stretching across the floor. Tom held his breath, an icy fear gripping his heart as he clutched Sarah's hand tightly, her tiny pulse thumping beneath his fingers. Any sign of them yet? One voice barked, scanning the space, desperation edging into his tone. Tom strained to listen, hoping for a way out. No, but they can't have gone far. They must be hiding. The other voice snapped back. We need to find them before they alert anyone. Tom's mind raced. The odds felt impossibly stacked against them, and time felt like a rapidly draining glass. With every passing second, an opportunity slipped further away. But just then, a soft ringtone echoed in the silence, the alert from Sarah's tablet. It blared through the quiet, an ominous beacon of their presence. No. Tom breathed fiercely, but too late. The men turned, eyes wide before Tom could react. The door swung wide, and he stepped out into the open, protecting Sarah behind him. "You need to leave my daughter out of this," he shouted, determination lining his features like hardened steel. The figures shifted, surprise flickering across their faces. "What do you think you can do?" One snarled, flexing his muscles as if prepared for a fight. "Back off." Emily surged forward, her voice fierce. "You don't want to do this." But the threat loomed larger and Tom's chest tightened. "This ends now," he declared, drawing strength from his loving bond with Sarah. Then, just as the men moved closer, headlights burst through the darkness behind them, illuminating the space. The police cars had arrived, sirens wailing, echoing like an anthem of hope. The men faltered, anger and panic twisting their features. "This isn't over." One spat, lunging toward the door, but they were too late. Officers surged in, quickly apprehending them. Tom could scarcely believe it. Just moments ago, fear held them hostage, and now relief flooded through him. He turned to Sarah, her wide eyes sparkling with disbelief, and reached down, gathering her into a tight embrace. Did we do it?" she whispered, hope sparkling in her voice. "Yes, we did," he replied, heart swelling with pride and love. "We faced our fears together." As the officers led the men away, Emily, breathing heavily, looked on with astonished relief. "You did well. We did it as a team," she said, glancing at them both. Looking out into the night, Tom felt a warmth spread through him. They had faced adversity head-on, standing together against the shadows. Their bond had transformed, solidifying into something resilient and unbreakable. The journey ahead would undoubtedly have its challenges, but standing beside his daughter, he understood that together, they'd confront whatever life threw at them. With each new day they'd find a way to grow, heal and thrive. As they left the chaos behind and stepped into the fresh night air, the stars shimmered above, illuminating promises of new beginnings. They would mark this day a turning point, not just against the darkness that threatened them, but as a testament to their courage, love and unwavering support for one another. And as they walked into the night, feeling lighter and hope-filled, Tom couldn't help but smile, because they were not just survivors, they were a family ready to embrace the future. Now this is the moment where you get involved. Subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and uplift you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help these touching stories reach even more hearts. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. We want to hear your voices. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Together we can make a difference.